130 million Americans will receive letters signed by the president in the next few weeks. They're intended to notify stimulus check recipients of their one-time payments, a requirement under the CARES Act. According to a copy, the letters praise the Trump administration's economic response, but some recipients are calling them, quote, vanity letters and wasteful. CBS MoneyWatch contributor Aimee Picchi joins me now. Aimee, thanks for being with us. You've been following the issue of stimulus checks for a few weeks now. There have been a number of concerns raised, one being that the money isn't enough to sustain people, especially those who have lost their jobs. After talking with people who've seen this letter, tell us more about how it's been received.
Yeah, the consumers that I've talked to are seeing this letter and feeling a little puzzled by it. The fact is that the IRS is by law supposed to send a letter to everybody who receives a stimulus payment to let them know how much they're getting. And in a way, it's a sort of anti-fraud effort that you get this letter, you have received your check, and you can make sure that you got the amount you were supposed to receive. But it took some people by surprise to receive a letter on White House letterhead signed by Donald Trump. To them, it seemed like it wasn't necessary. Maybe it was a political stunt. And this also comes after a lot of consumers have had trouble even getting their payments, finding out when they're going to get their payments. And this whole process has added to the stress levels that a lot of people are feeling right now. The stimulus payments are designed to help people right now economically. A lot of people have lost their jobs, about 30 million people. People have lost hours, their income is lower, and a lot of people are desperate for this money right now. I heard from dozens of consumers who said when they first went on to the Get My Payment portal that they got a message that said payment status not available. And they were completely confused by this. They didn't know what it meant. They didn't know if they were going to get a payment. And it just added to that level of economic stress that they were already feeling.
So the IRS is meant to be non-political and nonpartisan, but in the letter sent by the IRS, President Trump says, quote, as we wage total war on this invisible enemy, we are also working around the clock to protect hardworking Americans like you from the consequences of the economic shutdown. So you touched on it a moment ago, Aimee. What else had you heard about the way in which this letter was received?
Well, you know, for a lot of people, they're just feeling like it's a little bit too late. It's a little bit ham-fisted. The problem is that they're rolling out these payments in kind of a staggered way. The first people who are getting it are those who received returns, put their direct deposit information in with the returns either in 2018 or 2019. But there was a lot left unsaid, or was a little unclear about when people might see their payments after that. For instance, if you had a more complicated return, or if you didn't provide your direct payment information with your return, you weren't one of those first people to get one of those checks. And so there was just confusion about that. And the other issue was that the checks also have Donald Trump's name on them, that he put them on the check. And that also brought people the wrong way, some people the wrong way, because even though he's not signing it, his name is on it. It's in the memo field of the check. And some people said, you know what, this looks like maybe some people might think it's coming from him. This was the CARES Act that was created by Congress. And, you know, I'm not sure why I'm seeing his name on the check and then also getting this letter. At the same time, a lot of people are filing for unemployment and having trouble getting their unemployment through the state systems because the state systems are overwhelmed. States have never seen this level of unemployment so quickly, and they're just struggling to catch up with all the claims. So it's kind of catching people at a time when they're waiting for the stimulus checks, they're waiting for unemployment, and then they're getting these letters, and when they get their checks, they will have Donald Trump's name on it. And that's confusing, I think, for a lot of people at this point.
So in addition, Aimee, we know that the printed stimulus checks were coming out later than expected. Explain why.
Well, the printed stimulus checks they're coming after the direct deposit checks. Basically, the IRS decided that they were going to get out the checks to the people they could get them out to first, which is the people they had the direct deposit information for from their previous returns. And that was the first group of checks that went out around the week of April 13th. And about 80 million people got their checks that week. And then after that, they wanted to let people have a little time to put their bank information in the Get My Payment site that's at the irs.gov website. And then if they don't get their direct deposit information, they'll send out paper checks. And so those are going to start going out in early May, and they're sending them out by income. So lower income earners are going to receive them first. The first batch will go to people earning less than $10,000, then it'll go up to the next week people earning $20,000 and so on. And overall, though, it could take several months for all those checks to go out because they're working up to the income limit, which is $198,000 for a married couple. So those folks might not get their checks until late August or even September.
All right. A lot of people, though, so desperate for the help at this time with so much uncertainty in the air. Aimee Picchi for us. Aimee, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.